Tektronix, Incorporated is an American company best known for manufacturing test and measurement devices such as oscilloscopes, logic analyzers, and video and mobile test protocol equipment. In November 2007, Danaher Corporation acquired Tektronix as a subsidiary. The company received a 2007 Technology and Engineering Emmy Awards for Compliance Standards Monitoring Systems for Advanced Television Systems Committee Standard and Digital Video Broadcasting Transport Streams. Several charities were associated with Tektronix, including the Tektronix Foundation and the M.J. Murdoch Charitable Trust in Vancouver, Washington. History 1946 1954 The company traces its roots to the electronics revolution that immediately followed World War II. The company unregistered trademark S founders C. Howard Vollum and Melvin J. Jack Murdoch invented the world unregistered trademark S first time-based triggered oscilloscope in 1946, a significant technological breakthrough. This oscilloscope touted by Tektronix was the Model 511. The Model 511 was a time-based trigger and time-based sweep oscilloscope. The leading oscilloscope manufacturer at the time was Alan Dumont. Dumont pioneered the frequency sync trigger and sweep. Alan Dumont personally tried the 511 at an electronics show and was impressed, but when he saw the price of $795, which was about twice as much as his equivalent model, he told Howard Vollum at the show that they would have a hard time to sell many. Tektronix was incorporated in 1946 with its headquarters at S.E. Foster Road and S.E. 59th Avenue in Portland, Oregon. In 1947 there were 12 employees, and 250 in 1951. By 1950 the company began building a manufacturing facility in Washington County, Oregon, at Barnes Road and the Sunset Highway, and expanded the facility by 1956 to 80,000 square feet. The company then moved its headquarters to this site, following an employee vote. A detailed story of Howard Vollum and Jack Murdoch along with the products that made Tektronix a leading maker of oscilloscopes can be found at the Museum of Vintage Tektronix Equipment. 1955 1969 In 1956, a large piece of property in nearby Beaverton became available, and the company unregistered trademark S Employee Retirement Trust purchased the land and leased it back to the company. Construction began in 1957 and on May 1, 1959 Tektronix moved into its new Beaverton headquarters campus, on a 313-acre site which came to be called the Tektronix Industrial Park. In the late 1950s, Tektronix set a new trend in oscilloscope applications that would continue into the 1980s. This was the introduction of the plug-in oscilloscope. Started with the 530 and 540 series oscilloscopes, the operator could switch in different horizontal sweep or vertical input plug-ins. This allowed the oscilloscope to be a flexible or adaptable test instrument. Later Tektronix would add in plug-ins to have the scope operate as a spectrum analyzer, waveform sampler, cable tester and transistor curve tracer. The 530 and 540 series also ushered in the delayed trigger, allowing to trigger between a sweep rather than at the beginning. This allows more stable triggering and better waveform reproduction. In 1961, Tektronix sold its first completely portable oscilloscope, the Model 321. This oscilloscope could run on AC line or on rechargeable batteries. It also brought the oscilloscope into the transistor age. A year and a half later the Model 321A came out and that was all transistors. The 560 series introduced the rectangular CRT to oscilloscopes. In 1964 Tektronix made an oscilloscope breakthrough, the world's first mass-produced analog storage oscilloscope, the Model 564. Hughes Aircraft Company is credited with the first working storage oscilloscope, but it was made in very small numbers and is extremely rare today. In 1966, Tektronix brought out a line of high-frequency full-function oscilloscopes called the 400 series. The oscilloscopes were packed with features for fieldwork applications. These scopes were outstanding performers often preferred over their laboratory bench models. The first models were the 422, a 16 MHz bandwidth, and the 453, a 50 MHz bandwidth model. The following year the 454, a 150 MHz portable. These models put Tektronix well ahead of their competitors for years. The U.S. military contracted with Tektronix for a Model 453 ruggedized for field servicing. The 400 series models would continue to be popular choices in the 1970s and 80s. In addition, the styling of the 400 series would be copied by Tektronix's competitors. 400 series oscilloscopes are still being used currently. 1970 euro 1985 equals. The company's IPO, when it publicly sold its first shares of stock, was on September 11, 1963. In 1974, the company acquired 256 acres in Wilsonville, Oregon, where it built a facility for its imaging group. By 1976, the company employed nearly 10,000, and was the state Euro unregistered trademark's largest employer. Tektronix's 1956 expansion and, in 1962, Electro-Scientific Industries' similar move to Washington County and expansion accredited with fostering the development of a large high-tech industry in Washington County, a number of firms which collectively are often referred to as the Silicon Forest. For many years, Tektronix was the major electronics manufacturer in Oregon, and in 1981, its U.S. payroll peaked at over 24,000 employees. Tektronix also had operations in Europe, South America and Asia. European factories were located in St. Peters, Guernsey until 1990, Hoddesdon and Heerenveen, Netherlands. Some oscilloscopes marketed in Europe and the UK were sold under the brand name Telequipment, but many in the UK used the Tektronix brand name in the 1960s and 70s. For many years, Tektronix operated in Japan as Sony Tektronix, a 50-50 joint venture of Sony Corporation and Tektronix, Incorporated. This was due to Japanese trade restrictions at the time. Since then, Tektronix has bought out Sony's share and is now the sole owner of the Japanese operation. Under the Sony Tektronix name, the 300 series oscilloscopes were lightweight and totally portable. They replaced the Model 321-321A oscilloscopes. Examples of the Sony Tektronix models were 314, 323, 335 and 370. During the early 1970s, Tektronix made a major design change to their oscilloscopes. The introduction of the 5000 and 7000 series oscilloscopes. These oscilloscopes maintained the plug-in capabilities that originally started with the 530 and 540 series, however the choice of plug-ins was even greater. These scopes used custom-designed integrated circuits fabricated by Tektronix. The courts were all rectangular and were all fabricated by Tektronix. These oscilloscopes provided on-screen control setting. The 5000 series was the general-purpose line, while the 7000 series were capable of a wide variety of applications and could accept as many as 4 plugins. One model, the 7104, was a true 1 GHz bandwidth oscilloscope. Beginning with the firm's first cathode ray oscilloscopes, Tektronix has enjoyed a leading position in the test and measurement market. Although its equipment was expensive, it had performance, quality, and stability. Most test equipment manufacturers built their oscilloscopes with off-the-shelf, generally available components. But Tektronix, in order to gain an extra measure of performance, used many custom-designed or specially selected components. They even had their own factory for making ultra-bright and sharp CRT tubes. Later on, they built their own integrated circuit manufacturing facility in order to make custom ICs for their equipment. Tektronix instruments contributed significantly to the development of computers, test, and communications equipment and to the advancement of research and development in the high-technology electronics industry generally. Tektronix, as time went on, fabricated more and more of their electronic parts. This led to very specialized skills and talents, which in time led to employees forming new businesses. Some former Tektronix employees left to create other successful Silicon Forest companies. Spin-offs include Mentor Graphics, Planar Systems, Floating Point Systems, Cascade Microtech, Mirix Corporation, Anthro Corporation and Northwest Instrument Systems, later renamed to Microcase. Even some of the spin-offs have created spin-offs, such as Infocus. As Tektronix fabricated more specialized parts, they spread out their product base to include logic analyzers, digital multimeters and signal generators. The TM500 and TM5000 rack-mount series was born featuring custom-designed test instruments chosen by the buyer. 1986 Euro 2006 Tektronix faces big challenges to its business structure. In the 1980s, Tektronix found itself distracted with too many divisions in too many markets. This led to decreasing earnings in almost every quarter. A period of layoffs, top management changes and sell-offs followed. In 1994, Tektronix spun off its printed circuit board manufacturing operation as a separate company, Mirix Corporation, headquartered in Forest Grove, Oregon. Eventually, Tektronix was left with its original test and measurement equipment. Upon his promotion in 2000, the current CEO, Richard H. Rick Wills, carefully limited corporate spending in the face of the collapsing high-tech bubble. This led the way for Tektronix to emerge as one of the largest companies in its product niche, with a market capitalization of $3 billion as of April 2006. However, this failed to prevent it from becoming an acquisition target, and Tektronix was acquired by Danaher Corporation in 2007. Major product changes are Euro-digital sampling scopes. The advancement in signal sampling techniques and digital processing, oscilloscope manufacturers found a new horizon in the market. The ability to sample the signal and digitize it for real-time viewing or digitally store it for future use and maintain the integrity of the waveform. In addition, a computer can be integrated with the scope to store many waveforms or instruct the scope to do further analysis. Color-enhanced waveforms can be produced for ease in identification. Tektronix was heavily involved with designing digital sampling oscilloscopes. In the mid-1980s, they quickly replaced their analog oscilloscopes. Their 400, 5000 and 7000 series oscilloscopes were replaced with a new generation of digital oscilloscopes with storage capability, the 11000 and TDS series. The 11000 series were large rack-mount laboratory models with larger flat court face and had touchscreen, multiple color, and multi-waveform display capability. They were still plug-in units and could accept the older 7000 series 7 plugins and the new 11000 series 11A plugins. The TDS series replaced the 300 and 400 series portable line. They had the same panel layout but with enhanced storage and measuring capabilities. During this period, Tektronix would also expand its test equipment line to logic analyzers, signal generators etc. By the mid-1990s the use of the CRT was dropped and Tektronix started using LCD panels for display. The 11000 series would be replaced by the MSO, which featured a color-active matrix LCD. The TDS continued but with LCD panels starting with the TDS 210. In the TDS models, the lower-priced models replaced the last of the 2000 series analog scopes and featured monochrome display, while the higher-end models were color LCD models which were more like the older 400 series scopes in performance. Spin-offs of the TDS was the TBS storage scope series. Later Tektronix would replace the 200 mini oscilloscopes with the TH series handheld digital oscilloscopes. All TDS and spin-off series with LCD display are totally portable. 2007 to present. On November 21, 2007, Tektronix was acquired by Danaher Corporation for $2.85 billion. Prior to the acquisition, Tektronix traded on the New York Stock Exchange under the symbol TEK, the nickname by which Tektronix is known to its employees, customers, and neighbors. On October 15, 2007, Danaher Corporation tendered an offer to acquire Tektronix for $38 cash a share, which equated to a valuation of approximately $2.8 billion. The deal closed 5.5 weeks later, with 90% of TEK shares being sold in the tender offer. Also, as part of its acquisition by Danaher, The communications business division of Tektronix was spun off into a separate business entity under Danaher, Tektronix Communications. The digital oscilloscope line that was introduced in the 1990s are still being manufactured. Litigation Tektronix Incorporated v. Tektronix Limited On June 12, 2009, Tektronix applied under S69, 1A, Companies Act 2006 for a change of name for another company called Tektronix Limited which had been registered in England on June 30, 2008. Tektronix argued that they have a well-established name and trademark in the name Tektronix. If Tektronix Limited traded in similar areas then there would be confusion and consumers would think it was a Tektronix Limited company. If Tektronix Limited traded in another area then there would still be confusion. Having another company with the same name devalues the branding of Tektronix Incorporated. The company names tribunal found that Tektronix Incorporated did not produce a satisfactory proof of the existence of a goodwill or a reputation in the UK that needed protecting and so Tektronix Limited was a valid name for another company. Tektronix Incorporated was ordered to pay the respondents costs of £950. Early oscilloscope models. For individual model history Tektronix and Tektronix Collectors has complete details. Just go to one of the links shown below. 7000 series oscilloscopes and plugins 1970-1985, 5000 series oscilloscopes and plugins 1970-1985, 2000 series portable oscilloscopes, 500 series oscilloscopes and plugins 1946-1970, 400 series portable oscilloscopes and spectrum analyzers 1966-1989, 300 series portable oscilloscopes 1952-1969, 200 series portable oscilloscopes. Non-test products. Some important non-test equipment Tektronix created and sold include, Tektronix 4014 computer terminal, Tektronix 405X graphical microcomputers, Tektronix 408X graphical mini-computers, Tektronix FEM181 finite element modeling software system, Tektronix 4115 color raster scan graphics or the TGRAPH emulator, Tektronix 6130 nanoseconds 32016 workstations series running UTEC, a $4.2 Bahamian clone, Tektronix 4300 Motorola 68020 graphic workstations series running UTEC, a $4.2 Bahamian clone, Tektronix XD88 Motorola 88000 graphic workstation running UTEC V, another Tektronix Unix based on Unix System V Release 3, flatbed plotters used with Tektronix computers, TekPress X terminals, later sold to network computing devices, Phaser-branded color computer printers, including their pioneering solid ink models, sold to Xerox in 1999, television studio and video production equipment manufactured by one-time tech subsidiary Grass Valley Group, which was spun off as an independent company. The Grass Valley brand is now owned by Belden. Notable employees. The following notable individuals currently work for Tektronix, or have previously worked for Tektronix in some capacity. This list includes persons who are notable for reasons unrelated to their Tektronix careers. Gene Ull, technical writer. Author, Kent Beck, engineer. Extreme programming developer, Tom Brugler, engineer. Later founded Mentor Graphics in 1981. 1996 candidate for United States Senate, Ward Cunningham, engineer. Extreme programming developer, inventor of the Wiki, Miller M. Duries, politician who served as mayor and county commissioner, Barry Gilbert, popularized the Gilbert cell, a type of electronic mixer, Robert W. Lundeen, director, CEO, Stephen McGeddy, engineer. Later Intel vice president and co-founder of Intel Architecture Labs, Merrill A. McPeak, director. Former U.S. Air Force Chief of Staff, Keith Packard, engineer. Ex-Windows system developer, Randall L. Schwartz, Perl and computer security expert, author, Norm Winningstad, engineer. Founder of Floating Point Systems, author, Rebecca Werfs-Brock, engineer. Technical lead for first commercial Smalltalk implementation. Author of books on object-oriented programming, Delbert Lockham, Former President, COO. Former COO of Apple Computer. See also, Semiconductor Curve Tracer, Waveform Monitors/Vectorscope, First Tech Credit Union, originally Tektronix Federal Credit Union, Tektronix Analog Oscilloscopes, list of companies based in Oregon. References. Further reading, Winning with People, The First 40 Years of Tektronix by Marshall M. Lee. Published by Tektronix, Incorporated, October, 1986. External links, corporate homepage, The Spirit of Tech documentary produced by Oregon Public Broadcasting, archive of Tektronix vintage catalog PDFs.